And I'm not an academic, and I didn't understand some of it, but I just want to say something from my own personal point of view. I work in mental health, and I'd like to say that using internet stuff, going so-called online, which you have to do all the fucking time, is very bad for my mental health. And if you've seen the film Daniel Blake, it was driving him bonkers. We're going to die out. This generation's going to die out because young people, as somebody said, it's capitalism is their whole experience. There's going to come a time when people look back, if the world carries on a few hundred years' time, all these cars, why did people allow it? Like we look back at slavery. Why did people allow slavery to carry on? I don't have a mobile phone. People get cross with me. Why should I have a fucking mobile phone? This is messing up children. You see all these babies with their mothers and fathers sometimes on the mobile phone for ages, and the child's looking up, wanting some human communication. I could go on. I mean, what you said about workers being scared to say, I'm not going to carry broken glass, or I'm not going to split on my fellow workers and so on. It's the same everywhere in education, when teachers are scared to give 2 figures to Ofsted, and they're scared of not teaching the stupid grammar to year 6, which is they knew it's bad for children. So we've got a workforce who live on fear, because everyone's scared of losing their jobs. If they were united, then they could just fuck the education system and do what they think is true. Anyway, I could go on, but that's just my personal experience of all this rubbish.
Yeah, very, very widespread personal experience too. Yeah, well said.
Okay, Tina, I've got you. I've got 2 more people with their hands up, and if I let Ursula answer those and then allow those 2 more people, we'll probably go on to something like 20 to 10. Is that all right? Yeah. So I'll just take. We'll let Ursula answer those 2. We'll have 2 more questions and then we'll stop. Okay. Good. So. Yeah.
That's really interesting, because that's where I came in. That was in 1977, I think. There was a conference of socialist economists, had a group which was saying all the things that people are saying now about how robots were going to destroy all the jobs, there was going to be mass unemployment, there'd be riots on the street, that capitalism would come up against its contradictions because, robots don't buy cars, etc., etc. And I said, oh yeah, no, there will be new commodities, and new commodities will come out of domestic labour. And then all the guys said, oh, I think washing machines are a good thing. And so they didn't put my chapter into their book. But no, I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's contradictory. Clearly these things have use values. People buy them because they have use values. But in buying them, they get locked more and more firmly into the capitalist system, because they need the money to buy them. They need the money to maintain them, they need the money to replace them, so it locks people in more and more, ever more tightly into this producer-consumer nexus which represents capitalism. And in each wave of new technology, new opportunities for new kinds of capitalism are created to take rents as well as to sell us stuff. Like to sell you the maintenance contract on the boiler, or the broadband contract, or whatever it is. So yes, it's contradictory, but that fundamentally is how capitalism works. If anybody has any doubt, here the Paul Mason question comes in again, about how capitalism is going to regenerate itself. Just look at the areas of life which are still outside it. Most men don't see them because they usually involve the unpaid labour of women in some shape or form, whether it's in childcare or whatever. But that's where the limit, the physical limit, it seems to me, of the expansion of capitalism will be the resources of the planet. That's what's going to bring it to an end. Precisely because of the inventiveness of workers, the creativity of people who can invent new appliances and new ways of organising them, have brilliant ideas and so on. That is the engine of growth of capitalism. Capitalism grows through the labour, the creative labour of workers. Anyway, so what you said about mental illness, so right. So right. I gave a talk last week about academic labour, and my starting point was this terrifying statistic about how the incredibly high rates of mental illness among academic levels, really higher than almost any other group. And you know, I think there are a whole load of contradictions, and I think we won't go into that at this time. But I can share that with you afterwards if you like. Anyway, I'll stop there.
Okay. I think it was Suraj.
Okay, I'm Suraj. I'm mathematics, so I might struggle halfway. My inhaler's run out. Basically, taking your point, your point about de-skilling, there's a very particular kind of de-skilling that's happening, which is about leapfrogging and overcoming uneven development. So if you look at Uber or Deliveroo, I mean, when I was in Cairo, Uber's all the rage, because again, they can take a labor force which is totally different to an advanced industrial labor force and start making capital out of it with hardly any extra investment. And this leapfrogging aspect and particular form of de-skilling is kind of endemic to the kind of technologies that are being developed, because it's another form of primitive accumulation. But equally, I mean, when I look at the demographic of these workers, say if in the advanced economies, say delivery workers in Berlin, 90% are migrant labor. Okay, mainly East European and Southern European, who have little assimilation into social lives in German culture. Okay, you don't get very few black people are hired because they're not considered good PR. So it's mainly white European labor. The German demographic of delivery workers under the age of 23 is there, but above the age of 23, Germans won't do delivery work. So you've got a precariat which is very specific in terms of demographics, and that's quite interesting because it is a particular class. It's not a proletariat, because they'll never organize because it never sustain their livelihoods. You know, so there are very particular forms of use of technology to kind of de-skill and then use a very particular demographics, and that's what's happening.
Okay, thanks. You have the last one?
Yeah, it's a question for Ursula that was brought up. I mean, I'm just thinking during the course of the evening, you go back to basic Marxism. Who owns the means of production? And when you take, I mean, two different things like social media or Facebook and providers like Amazon, do the algorithms work differently in those two realms, social media and Amazon as a provider? Does anyone know the...
Okay, good. Yeah.
Well, to the first question, I mean, I would dispute your conclusion that the Berlin Uber drivers were not organised. The situation in London is remarkably similar. Uber, as you may or may not know, there's Uber pool drivers, so people who do it on the side on top of another job using their own cars, who have a very wide demographic mix. But Uber Black and Uber X are the people who basically rely on it for a livelihood. And in London, these are 85% from black minority ethnic backgrounds who feel very clearly that it's a race issue, because the black cab drivers are 80% white and are represented by 4 different bodies to Transport for London. The Uber drivers feel nobody is representing them, and that has been one of the spurs to unionising. They've set up a union, United Private Hire Drivers, which has support from the GMB and which has now said it's going to amalgamate with the IWGB, which is organising not just Deliveroo drivers but also university cleaners and foster care. You know, it's a very fast-growing new union rather modelled on the Wobblies, you know, the early 20th century, very successfully organised. So these workers who are the union meetings I've been to, very, very well attended. I would say about 80% of Pakistani origin, and the rest are mostly Kurdish, with a few other ethnicities mixed in the part of London I live in. But they are absolutely organising. Don't assume migrant workers can't organise. They're often the best, you know, some of the most militant workers around the world, especially second-generation migrants. Sorry.
United Voices of the World, that organisation?
Well, they're called the International IWGB, International Workers' Yeah, right. Anyway, sorry, about your question. There are so many algorithms, the specificities of them vary so much, and I'm not even going to attempt to answer that question. I suspect that the underlying organising principles are remarkably similar, but I'll go further from that.
But are some organisations pretending to be processing?
Oh yes, I've come across, for instance, a job matching, a platform a bit like Uber in California, where they've got a team of about 40 IT people who spend all their time just tweaking the website, where we put this button here instead of there. And all the actual work of matching customers with workers is done manually by people in the Philippines. Just going through the list and saying, oh, this guy wants a carpenter, this guy's a carpenter. They haven't bothered to automate it at all. But all customers all think they're being matched by computer. There's lots and lots of examples of that.
Okay, right, okay. I wonder whether that company is, kind of pretending that it's using algorithms.
Research ethics require me to keep it confidential.
Okay, I'm just wondering, for the sake of getting money from the venture capitalists, whether they're pretending to use algorithms. But anyway, all right, that's been really interesting, and we can continue this kind of thing in a more informal way, from now on. It'd be great if we all went downstairs and got a drink and then came back up here and continued this conversation. I've just got a few things to mention in relation to later events in the series. First of all, I just wanted to mention over here we've got some things that you might be interested in either taking away for free or buying. Do have a look at them before you go. If anybody, I passed around this sign-up sheet if you wanted to be connected, get out announcement emails about events and so on. If you didn't see that, come afterwards and you can put your name on this piece of paper. So I'll just say something about a couple of, this issue of accelerationism seemed to come up, and in fact we've got later in the series I think it's the October event is going to be all about this idea of a so-called post-work leisure society, created through automation before that, at the beginning of September, we had a very interesting meeting with a guy called Jack Chu, who's from Hong Kong.